Good evening, everyone. And tonight is class 5. We are in class 4. We looked at stress reactivity, some of our perceptions and around stress. And tonight we'll see how we can maybe develop some coping strategies to respond instead of react to stress. But before we begin into our discussion and our practices for this evening, I'd like to start, like we always do, with our mindful check-in. So finding a comfortable position and lowering or closing your eyes. And just being present in this moment. You have your whole day and part of your week inside your body, and just being present to this moment and our evening together for the next few hours. And at the same time acknowledging what's present for you. It might be fatigue, it might be sadness, it might be just feeling like you've been on automatic pilot all day. So bringing awareness to how you're feeling, both body and mind, so noticing sensations in the body and what's present for you. And then being with the breath. Just sensing the breath in the body without trying to control or guide it in any specific way. Just bringing awareness to the breath in the body. One in-breath and one out-breath. And in a moment, I'll ring the bells and you can open your eyes, take your time. So I thought I'd start by taking a few minutes to just briefly go over class 4, which so tonight's theme and class is about reacting. How we last week we talked a lot about stress reactivity. So this week we'll focus more on what are some ways of better responding to the stress that we have in our lives. But I just wanted to quickly go over some of the things that we discussed last week in our class 4 on stress. So remember, we filled our unpleasant events calendar last week, and we came up with a list of, what were some of your thoughts during those unpleasant events, like, oh no, there was some doubt, there was, what's going on for me, I can't do this, I've had it, and the list goes on, right? So we came up with, those were some of your thoughts as you were experiencing that unpleasant event. And then what were some emotions that arose for you during that unpleasant event? Well, some of you felt some anger, some anxiety, some self-doubt, disengagement, disappointed with yourself, like I should have known better, I shouldn't have done this, or unmet expectations, some guilt, some panic, like like this isn't working out for me or whatever. And of course, stress was very present. For some of you was regret, fear, helplessness. So those were some of the emotions that came up when we were looking at our unpleasant events calendar last week. And then from there, I drew, if you remember, this little person, and then I asked you to identify, so what about sensations in the body? What was going on for you in your body as you were experiencing those unpleasant events? And it was a mixture. I felt it in my head, like I had a bit of a migraine, or I had a bit of a headache, or I stopped breathing, although we never stopped breathing because we'd be dead, but we just hold our breath, it's just difficult. Or my fist, like my hands were just like, I could feel the anger in my body, and I had tight, clenched hands, or sometimes some people, like I was just moving faster, like I was even more on automatic pilot. I was just going, and so or some others, it was, my heart, like my heart was pounding, like it was going to burst out of my chest. I was feeling my heart pounding a little more than usual. So those are how stress affects us, affects our body. Like it shows up in our body, not just in thoughts and emotions, but also we can certainly feel those sensations, a tightness. And then we talked about, so what does stress mean? So we went over that a little bit. And then we identified there's all kinds of definitions of stress out there, but just one of them, psychological stress, refers to a relationship with the environment that the person appraises as significant for his or her well-being, and in which the demands tax or exceed available coping resources. So in a nutshell, and like I say, there's this is from Lazarus and Folkman, but there's a lot of other definitions of stress. And so today we'll make the link with, how can we bring awareness, bring mindfulness, so that we don't get to this extreme of feeling taxed, feeling anxious, feeling overwhelmed, not able to even tap into some internal resources that we all have, because we have a lot of inner wisdom within ourselves that we can tap into. So we're going to look at, what could be some of those coping strategies, some of those coping resources that we could use to be able to respond more than react to the daily stress in our life. It's not just the big events, but stress also, all of those small events, sometimes you say, it's nothing. It's nothing. So you repress your emotions, or you don't really say what you want, or whatever. And then it just builds up, and then it becomes like, you either scream, shout, get angry, or get upset, and then of course it's even worse, right? So we'll look at, what could be some strategies that we could use to better cope. And of course we reviewed our triangle of awareness, right? In mindfulness, we talk mindfulness equals awareness. So we talked about mind and body. It's our thoughts, our feelings, emotions, and then sensations. What am I experiencing in my body? And that's the consciousness, the wedge of awareness of being more mindful in your life. Which then, and also we talked about the concept of sometimes it's not avoiding or it's well, how can I deal with this challenging situation? So we also talked about this concept of, can I turn towards it? Can I sit with it? Can I be with it? And then see what might arise or unfold, to just kind of be present with it. We also talked about, well, does that mean I accept anything and everything? Well, no, not necessarily. It's just I'm going to have a look at this. Sometimes, remember, we talked about putting our big toe in the water, just our big toe, not our whole foot, but just slowly starting to have bring a different perspective, a beginner's mind to what it is that's affecting us. Okay, so that was class 4, and now into class 5, more about how can we respond to stress. But before we do that, we're going to start, as we always do, with our practices. So I'd like to begin with the mindful movement, and then we'll go right. So mindful movement, the standing yoga. Again, just some precautions, as we've said from class 1. Making sure that you respect your body. That's why we call it mindful movement and not necessarily yoga, because it's more about going inward, going inside yourself, and just being with those sensations that you're experiencing in your body. You have, your day's work or whatever was going on for you today, and so maybe there's some tension, whether it's in your lower back, your shoulders, your neck, and just seeing how you can work with that during the mindful movement practice. And again, respecting your limits, but also seeing, well, what's my edge? Can I go a little deeper, a little further in this posture, in this position? So that's the mindful movement, and then we'll just continue with the sitting meditation for tonight. And it's a new meditation. Well, it's a continuation of what we've done over the last 4 weeks on sitting meditation. We started with awareness of breath. Then we went into our body, sensations in the body. And now we'll explore sounds and emotions and thoughts, and then just choiceless awareness, just being with whatever arises for us. Okay, so let's begin our mindful movement practice, finding a mat. If you want to, make some room, if you need a cushion or a blanket, whatever you need for your practice. Some of you, it might be for your knees or just... Just making some room and... So yeah, you will need a mat. Yeah, this one. Here, I have one for you. Gail and Bonnie, if you want. Yeah. Great. So let's begin in mountain pose. So our feet are nice and firm on the mat, on the floor, and then the alignment of our whole body. Noticing our spine, seeing if we can just lengthen, straighten it without it being too rigid either. And then just placing our arms by our sides. And during this practice, again, you can, it's your choice, you can lower or close your eyes, and remembering to always respect your own body. You're in charge. So let's begin by placing our hands on our belly and just breathing as deeply as we can as we relax our shoulders, the muscles in our neck, And just breathe deeply, seeing if we can bring the breath all the way down to the belly. The belly rises as we breathe in, and then falls as we breathe out. And as much as possible as we're doing the practice this evening, remembering to not hold our breath, being with the breath as much as we can. So you might want to repeat breathing in. I know I'm breathing in. Breathing out. I know I'm breathing out. One in breath, one out breath. And then slowly bringing your hands by your side, your arms by your side. And let's breathe in, lifting our arms slowly, gently, feeling the sensations in our body as we lift our arms up towards the ceiling, towards the sky, and just stretch. Maybe this morning you didn't have a chance to stretch your whole body as you were waking up. So just give yourself a nice stretch from the tip of your fingers all the way down to your feet. And breathe in and breathe out. Just feel the sensations in your shoulders, your sides, and then slowly let go. Bring the arms back down. And then with our right arm, let's just breathe in and lift the right arm up, slowly, gently, all the way up. And once again, stretching, reaching up with that right arm, and then bending towards the left. So we're just bending slightly, not too far, just so we can feel the stretch on the right side and opening. We're trying to create some space at our waist and just noticing the sensations that are present as we stretch up. And then coming back to center and dropping that right arm all the way back by your side. And then pausing, breathing in and breathing out. And on the in-breath, breathing in and lifting the left arm up, all the way up towards the sky. And feeling the stretch on our left side now. And gently bending towards the right. And just feeling the stretch on our left side. Noticing what's present. There might be some pain or some in your lower back or even your shoulders or your side. It might be totally different on the left side than the right. And just being present with bringing awareness to the sensations that you're experiencing on this side. And then slowly come back to center and drop that left arm all the way down. And again, breathing in and breathing out. And now we'll see if we can release some of the tightness that we often experience in our neck and shoulder. So let's begin by breathing in and dropping our right ear towards our right shoulder. Don't go too far, again, with full respect for the limits of your own body. So just breathing in and breathing out and feeling the stretch on the left side. As you continue to breathe in and out. And then coming back to the middle, to the center, and then dropping your left ear towards the left shoulder and feeling the stretch on the right side. Just experiencing what's present for you in this stretch, and remembering not to hold your breath. And then slowly, gently come back to center. And now we're going to drop our chin towards our chest and give the back of our neck a nice stretch here. So just gently, slowly breathing in and breathing out. The chin comes down wherever it's comfortable for you, as long as you're feeling a nice stretch, gentle stretch in the back of your neck, and then slowly breathing in, lifting the chin up, not too high, but just bringing the chin up so that you can extend and stretch the muscles in the front of your neck. And then gently coming back to center. And pausing as you take an in-breath and an out-breath. Noticing if thoughts or presence, emotions of patience or impatience, joy, sadness, just being with and continuing with the mindful movement practice, bringing your focus now to your shoulders. Let's breathe in and lift our shoulders up towards our ears, and then let's drop them back and open the front of our body and just notice the sensations here. And one more time, we'll repeat. So breathing in, lifting those shoulders up, and then drawing those shoulders behind, and then dropping them back down. And then slowly, gently breathing in. This time we'll bring the shoulders forward. So breathing in, lifting the shoulders up towards the ears, and then bringing them forward, giving your upper back a stretch, and then dropping them down. And one more time as you breathe in, lifting the shoulders up, and then bringing them forward and just feeling the sensations in your upper back as you do this, and then dropping them back down. And breathing in, breathing out. And now let's imagine we have a chair behind us. So we're just going to gently, slowly bend our knees as much as we can, and imagine that we're sitting on a chair. So slowly breathing in, let's just drop down and bring our arms forward and just sit here in this position as we breathe in and breathe out, and just noticing different sensations in our lower back, our legs, our feet, our arms, and then slowly releasing, coming back up into mountain pose. And breathing in, breathing out, always remembering to be present and with the breath, and only doing what's possible for you this evening. And for the next one, it's a bit of a balancing position. We'll open our eyes and we'll focus our eyes somewhere in front of us. We don't have to lower our heads, we can just gaze in front of us. And then we're going to bring our weight on our left side, left foot. And then slowly we're going to bring our arms up and open our arms out, and then lift that little right leg up, not very high, just a couple of inches from the floor, and breathe and hold, and just noticing what comes up for you again here. Maybe the judging mind, maybe the striving mind, who knows, and then slowly bringing that right foot back down and dropping the arms by our side. with a beginner's mind, even though we know where we're going, whatever we do on one side, we need to do it on the other side. Now shifting our weight towards our right foot, and again finding that focus in front of us. And breathing in, lifting our arms up, shoulder height, and then just bringing that left foot off the ground, just a few inches, not very high, and holding and breathing, and noticing again what's going on in your mind as you stand here, fully attentive to the sensations in the body in this position. And when you're ready, slowly coming back, all the way back down. And now just move your hips from one side to the other, just feeling the sensations in your hips. And then come standing mountain pose. And then we'll place our hands on our hips. And we'll move our spine around a little bit, just and again, making sure our shoulders are not up, but just relaxed and soft, soft, soft. And we can close our eyes again. I'll guide you through this mindful movement. Slowly, we're going to twist and turn very gently with a lot of self-care towards the right. And just feeling the sensations as we do this standing twist. And taking a few breaths here, bringing awareness to our spine and our neck and our shoulders, all of the above in our lower back. And then slowly coming back to center, and now shifting, moving, turning in the opposite direction, just shifting and twisting and relaxing our right shoulder as we're twisting towards the left, and being present with our breath with this moment. And once more, repeating on each side, just turning gently, slowly as you breathe in towards the right. And eventually the head follows. And then coming back to center and moving gently in the opposite direction. And bringing awareness to your body, your shoulders, your lower back, your spine, and then coming back to center and dropping the arms back by your side. Breathing in and breathing out. And breathing in, lifting our arms up towards the ceiling. And then let's bend our knees a little bit, just so we don't have, our knees are soft or they're not locked or anything like that. So just soft knees, and very slowly, take your time. We're going to drop all the way down towards the floor, bending forward, and just seeing where we end up. No striving here, just do what's possible for you. And noticing what sensations are present in the back of your legs, your lower back, as you breathe in and out in this position. Taking a few breaths here. And noticing, feeling the sensations in the body in this position. And then when you're ready, starting with your lower back, take your time, no rush. Slowly coming all the way back up. And let's do a little bit of a back bend, just opening the front of our body. Let's move, not too far, just far enough so you can feel an opening, a lengthening in the front of your body. And stretch and hold. And then come back to center and drop those arms by your side. And once again, back in mountain pose, breathing in and breathing out. Let's slowly transition to seated position on our mat. If you need to place a cushion or be sitting on a cushion, that's fine too. Do whatever's comfortable for you. And let's just open our legs and place the soles of our feet together. And notice the sensations at our hips, our inner thighs, as we sit here and breathe. And seeing if we can relax and soften again our legs in this position. And breathing in, breathing out. And then releasing the position. And this time extending our right leg and bending our left leg, bringing the sole of that left foot inside our right inner thigh. And just noticing how that feels in this position. And then when you're ready, slowly inhaling and exhaling, breathing, coming down towards the right leg, just where it feels comfortable. Feeling a nice stretch in your lower back, maybe in the back of your right leg, being present with whatever sensations arise for you. And knowing if you can go deeper or if that's enough for you, just respecting your limits, or maybe challenging yourself a little bit more. And breathing in, breathing out. And then slowly coming back up. And now extending the left leg out and bending the right leg, bringing that foot inside. And breathing in, breathing out. It might be different on this side. It might be a little tighter or maybe looser, whatever. And slowly as you breathe in, start dropping towards the left side and breathing out. Just extend as far as you can with that flexed foot if you can. And breathing, holding, softening. Just bringing awareness to the sensations in your lower back, behind that left leg. The muscles might be tight. So seeing if you can avoid that judging mind and just be present with full acknowledgement, acceptance of your body this evening. And then slowly coming back up. And then extending both legs in front. And breathing in and breathing out. Taking your time, slowly bending forward from the hips and just coming down wherever it feels comfortable, and remembering not to hold your breath, to breathe in and breathe out. As you bend forward, and slowly coming back up. And we'll end in our practice of mindful movement with just turning in the opposite direction and going into child pose before we lie down for final relaxation. So let's just turn over and see if we can make sure our knees are as wide as possible. The wider the better, because then you can, and then bringing our hands in front of us, extending them forward and just dropping our bum and our buttocks on our heels and just coming down and taking a few breaths in our back here. Just being with the breath in this mindful position of extending our back and just sensing into our shoulders, our hips, our lower back. Great position that you can do any time during your day or even before going to bed, just to release some tension, some tightness in your body. And 2 more breaths here. And then transitioning to lying on your back in relaxation. Just, if it's too much for you, you can always bend your knees when we're in this final relaxation posture, or you can extend your legs all the way down, palms facing the ceiling, and just letting go, softening everything. And now we're doing a little bit of, we're in stillness. Instead of doing mindful movement, now we're just being present with our body as we lie here. And when you're ready, take your time. Slowly transitioning, you can turn towards the right and come back to seated position. And we'll transition into our sitting meditation for the evening. You can find your cushion, your mat, or you can sit comfortably on a chair, whatever position you'd like to take for this next formal practice of sitting meditation. Making sure you're comfortable, and if you need a blanket, there's some blankets there. If you choose to lie down or have your feet up top on a chair, whatever feels comfortable for you. Again, inviting you to close or lower your eyes, whatever feels comfortable. And seeing if you can bring this awareness into this formal sitting meditation practice, this awareness of awakeness, staying awake as we go through this and experience this practice. Over the weeks, we've expanded our field of awareness. In the sitting meditation, we started with the breath, awareness of breath. Then we continued into sensations in the body, in certain regions, with the body scan, and the body as a whole. And now we're extending our practice to also include sounds, the thought process, thoughts and emotions. And the intention of this practice is to be present, see what unfolds, maybe even turn towards, just experience what arises for you as you sit or lie here for the meditation. So bringing your full attention to this moment, and of course congratulating yourself for being here, for choosing to do this sitting mindful practice. For a little while, we're stopping that automatic pilot, and we're bringing awareness to this present moment as we sit here. And just becoming aware of the body, the mind, whatever is present for you today. And it's always different, it's always that whole impermanence, it's always changing. See if you can simply allow, acknowledge whatever is within, letting it be without trying to analyze or create a story about what you're experiencing. So slowly, let's shifting our awareness to the breath. To the breath in the body, naturally breathing in and out. Once again, without trying to control or guide the breath, just sensing the breath in the body. Breathing in, I'm sensing the in-breath. Breathing out, I'm sensing the out-breath. So our first object of attention here is the breath. And if it's difficult to bring awareness, bring attention to the breath, you might want to focus on a particular area, either the breath as it enters your nostrils or the breath as it moves all the way down to your belly, feeling your belly rise and fall. Just pick a spot somewhere to focus on and bring awareness and sensing the breath in the body. Nowhere to go, nothing to do, simply being here now with the breath. One inhalation and one exhalation. Breathing in, breathing out. And also seeing if you can experience each in and out breath as it appears, rises, and falls as you breathe in and out. And when you're ready, slowly, gently, shifting your awareness, letting go of the awareness from the breath, and bringing your attention to focus on sensations in the body. The breath is always present, it's always your anchor, you can come back to it at any time. But seeing if you can bring your awareness, your attention now to body sensations, sensations in the body. As you continue to sit or lie here. Acknowledging as much as possible without labeling. Simply being with the many, many sensations that arise. Sometimes it could be maybe some tingling in your throat. It could be maybe your belly that's growling if you haven't had a chance to have dinner. is present for you. Not trying to create a story, just experiencing those sensations that appear, disappear, come and go. After a long day, this might be the first time that you stop to pause and bring awareness to sensations in your body. So you might be noticing some tightness or some tension somewhere. So just seeing if you can soften, possibly, and relax, and if not, just let it be. Sensations in the body can sometimes be like clouds in the sky. They're there, they're not there. They come, they go. And sometimes we spend a lot of time focusing on those painful areas, and the invitation is to see if we can acknowledge that they're present and then just come back. Sometimes it might mean coming back to the breath in the body. And then refocusing on experiencing sensations in the body. And now gently releasing awareness of sensations in the body and bringing attention to hearing, sounds. Again, we're not trying to find sounds, we're just paying attention to the internal and the external sounds that we might be hearing in this moment. And again, the sound could be just the stillness of being here together, this quiet moment of togetherness. And just like sensations in the body, sounds come and go. We're experiencing, as we sit here or lie here, the impermanence of each moment.
experiencing the pleasantness or the unpleasantness or the neutrality of whatever arises for us. And just seeing if we can turn towards be without clinging or trying to hold on, just bringing awareness, attention, and then coming back to the object of focus, which for now is sound. And when you're ready, slowly shifting from awareness of sounds to the mind, to thoughts and emotions. And you might experience as we shift our attention to thoughts and emotions that maybe there's nothing there. Maybe it's just a void in the moment. That might quickly change. The intention again here is just to acknowledge, to be with all of those mind states. It's like you're lying by the river and the clouds just float by. And just noticing the mind in the same way. Thoughts come and go, appear, disappear. Thoughts and emotions rise and fall. And sometimes when those thoughts or those emotions arise for us, we quickly want to judge them. We quickly want to analyze what's going on. Seeing if we can stop ourselves from doing that and just be with and not try and find solutions or anything like that. Just bringing our attention to pleasant, unpleasant, neutral thoughts and emotions as they rise and fall, come and go, appear, disappear for you in this moment and this moment. And of course it's easier said than done, because you might be noticing that even if our object of attention right now is thoughts and emotions, that your mind has a mind of its own and it's maybe analyzing or planning or going through your to-do list. That's a moment of awareness when you notice where your mind has gone, and if you can bring it back to the present moment and to the object of attention, which right now are thoughts and emotions arising for you. You might also experience as you sit here thinking of thoughts and emotions that you want to get rid of the unpleasant thoughts or unpleasant emotions of, whatever those might be for you right now, sadness, fear. Some carry a whole story for you. And remembering our definition of mindfulness, of non-judgment, of awareness of heartfulness. So just seeing thoughts as thoughts and emotions as emotions in this moment. As you continue to sit here with thoughts and emotions, more stories might be created for you. You might feel emotions of impatience, of disruptiveness, of whatever arises. Again, bringing awareness and letting be. And at any time, you can always come back to your breath, your anchor, your best friend, and then refocus on the object of attention. And now letting go of awareness on mental events, feelings, and bringing our attention to the present moment as the object of attention. This is sometimes called choiceless awareness. It invites you to become mindful and present with whatever is arising in the body and mind. It could be sounds, it could be sensations in the body, it could be a mixture of thoughts and emotions. So without trying to focus on one particular object, just see if you can be with, turn towards whatever arises for you moment by moment as we continue to sit here together. sitting, breathing, being with whatever arises from moment to moment. Sometimes the mind is quiet, and other times it's like a monkey mind. There's all kinds of things going on. And when that monkey mind happens for you, just remembering you can always anchor yourself back with the breath in the body. Practice is like sitting by the lake and watching whatever is present, sounds, thoughts, emotions, sensations in the body. Simply giving space to whatever arises for you. And as you continue to sit here, and experience whatever arises, noting also that it's easier to go with the flow instead of trying to resist whatever arises in the body and mind. It could be sounds, it could be sensations in the body, it could be a mixture of thoughts and emotions. So without trying to focus on one particular object, just see if you can be with, turn towards whatever arises for you moment by moment as we continue to sit here together. sitting, breathing, being with whatever arises from moment to moment. Sometimes the mind is quiet, and other times it's like a monkey mind. There's all kinds of things going on. And when that monkey mind happens for you, just remembering you can always anchor yourself back with the breath in the body. This sitting practice is like sitting by the lake and watching whatever is present, sounds, thoughts, emotions, sensations in the body. Simply giving space to whatever arises for you. And as you continue to sit here, and experience whatever arises, noting also that it's easier to go with the flow instead of trying to resist whatever arises. And we have a better understanding the more we experience this practice that things change. Thoughts, emotions, sounds come and go. Nothing is permanent in our lives. Now gently, when you're ready, letting go of choiceless awareness, being with whatever arises for you, and coming back to the breath. Feeling the whole body as you breathe in and out. Feeling the entire body rising and falling, inhaling, exhaling, being connected as a whole from the tip of your toes all the way to the top of your head. And remembering that this practice of sitting meditation, choiceless awareness, is truly an act of kindness, of self-care for yourself.
slowly, gently, at the sound of the bells, take your time to open your eyes and stretch your body in whatever way you would like. You know what your body needs after the sitting practice. And then we'll come back in the circle. Taking a moment now to reflect. Reflect on a few things. Reflect on the program so far. We're in class 5. This is the midpoint. So just thinking of how's it going for you so far? Maybe what are some of your challenges? And then your home practice. Last week, your home practice of mindful movement and the body scan. And then the 2 practices that we've just experienced together, the mindful movement and the sitting meditation. This was the first time that we did the full choiceless awareness sitting meditation. So just reflecting on what was your experience? What was maybe difficult or challenging? And then we'll take just 5 minutes or less. I'll ring the bells and maybe turning to the person beside you and sharing that experience, what it was like for you. And after we'll share as a big group. So just take a few moments to again practice the mindful listening, mindful communication, paying attention, being fully present to your partner as you share about your experiences of tonight or your practice this week and the course so far. So go ahead, turning to the person beside you.
You had time to reflect on your stressful situation or identify 1 or 2 that happened to you this week. So, what did you notice as far as, so again, it's not to go into describing the stressful event, it's more on what was going on for you as far as your thoughts, as far as your emotions and sensations in your body during that stressful event. And were you able to bring awareness to it so that you could respond or maybe, do something differently the next time if it arose again? So I'm just curious to hear some of your examples of in the past week of stressful situations.
I wrote here that there were some times where I was able to use my mindfulness to put in that wedge, but there was other times where I reacted. So my question is the wedge, should it be used every time, or is a reaction okay sometimes?
Great question. Great question, Dan. So what do you think? Like, I don't know your situation, but what do you think about reacting? Some examples are of reacting. Like, if there's a bear in front of you, obviously you want to react and move your, just get going, right? So in certain situations, stress causes us to react. Like if there's a fire, like how firefighters somehow find the energy and the stamina to go and save that person or carry that 300-pound individual out of a home that's burning. And then they might stop and say, how did I do that? Like, but it was the reactivity, and everything kicked in and they were able to do that. But in our everyday, situations, how did you feel? I'd be curious. So, how did you feel after you reacted? How did you feel physically and emotionally?
Very tense, very
Okay, where?
Oh, everywhere. Especially the heart area or the stomach, it tightens up. But that it lets go, but there's still the feeling that I didn't really have to do that. Like 2 days after.
Okay. So good observation, good reflection. You rethought of, here was my reaction, and then once it was calmer, because remember when we were doing our sitting meditation, we're like, well, clouds come and go, and like sometimes it's strong right away when it happens, when it occurs, and then it's like, you know what, this isn't the end of the world, or so good for you for making those connections. I had a stress. I reacted to the situation, and now I'm reflecting on it, and I noticed what was going on in my body. What were some of your thoughts or emotions? Like anger must have been strong.
Anger, I'm not gonna let this person walk all over me. She's not gonna get what she wants, and
okay,
and
on and on and on. Okay, oh yeah. The mind is
like a roller coaster.
Yeah. It's there, right? And then it's like pause, and you wake up the next day, and then it's like, well.
Well, there was no pause in that moment.
No. I hear you.
But like I say, 3 days after, it says, oh no, I need the big wedge next time.
Yeah. You'll make the wedge of awareness a little bigger next time. Thank you. Good. Great example. Someone else about their, moment of stress this week, and if you were able to if you reacted or were able to kind of notice and maybe possibly respond.
Sometimes you have a real stressful situation, but then you realize, if I wouldn't have been so tired, maybe I wouldn't have been stressed about it.
Okay. So in your situation, tiredness had an impact on how you reacted or responded to the situation.
Because you definitely don't see things the same way.
No, for sure. So again, just those are all factors. Those are all factors, right? Of why we have a tendency to react, and stress then just builds up. Because let's take your example to the extreme. If you're always tired and always like go on the run, then after a while it piles up, and then what can happen? Right?
Trigger.
It can trigger all kinds of things, right? Like maybe possibly a heart attack, maybe, you know, all kinds of things can occur physically within your body if it's to the extreme, right? Someone else about their stressful moment and were they able to bring a little bit of a response into it this week?
Yes, one of them started with a response and then realized I was just getting pulled in and you'd end up saying things that you regret later, or you're letting somebody kind of build things up until you're shaken, and then I just managed actually to stop and just not respond anymore and just let the other person kind of calm down when you're not allowing them to feed on anything.
Well, good for you, Bonnie. So just in that example, you're sharing a few things. You had the intention, because remember mindfulness, the intention, the attention, and then the attitudes that we bring to mindfulness. So your intention was, no, I'm gonna respond to this. I'm gonna, you know, we'll try and work it out or whatever, right? And then it sounds like it escalated a little bit where the other person was trying to, I don't want to put words in your mouth, was it to manipulate you or to get you to do things that you really didn't want to? Or?
Yeah, or just saying hurtful things and stuff.
Okay, yeah. And then you stopped, remember, you chose to do a purposeful pause, and then you chose to respond differently or walk away.
Yeah.
Which was your behavior, right? You changed your behavior versus just continuing the fight, right? Because that's what we do when we're stressed. We either flight or fight, right? That's our normal reactions, right? So, good for you.
Take that deep breath and just stop.
Yes, and yeah, the deep breath, our breath is our anchor, it's our best friend. Like we need to come back to it over and over again in order to better be able to respond to those challenging situations that we face every day, every single day. Right? Thank you. Someone else about their stressful event and what went on for them.
I had a bit of an unusual experience. I've had a pretty stressful few months, and a lot of just negative life events have occurred, sort of one on top of another. And this week, something else happened that I would be very reactive to, in terms of just worry and anxiety and things like that. And I felt very numb to it. And that sort of almost scared me more than the reactivity. That I just, didn't respond at all. I felt sort of nothing. And so, and I sort of perceived it as sort of reaching my limit, like what you talked about. I think people conceptualize reaching a limit as sort of a blow up, but for me, I think I often internalize a lot. So I think for me, it's just sort of maybe shutting down. So that's sort of what happened with mine.
So you chose to, in a way, not react, and also just kind of being present. It sounds like you were still present with the event or the difficult situation, but maybe without getting. Sometimes in stressful situations we get caught up in them, and then we start owning them, but they're not ours to be owned, right? There's someone else. Like that's your situation or your issue. But all of a sudden it becomes mine because I want to empathize with you, and I want to help you, and I want to support you, and I want to be there. But sometimes we have to kind of let go, and fully the word fully recognize that you have the inner wisdom to do what it takes to solve that issue. And what you're sharing, Renee, I experienced it personally also this week, and I had let go of something just because it was like, sometimes it's just going around in circles and circles, and I was astounded, that's the only word I can use, at the beauty and me deeply. Like it was powerful. But that's where self-responsibility, where, this is not my issue, I'm sorry. Like, you need to take this on, it's your responsibility. But just seeing that unfold, the beauty of that unfolding is precious. It's really something, right? What are some coping strategies that you use when you want to respond versus react to situations? What are some things that you do on a daily basis?
To take a deep breath.
Take a deep breath. Absolutely. Absolutely. You mentioned self-care, right? The balancing, like maybe I've given too much to others, so self-care is another great coping strategy. What are other coping strategies that we can use when faced with stress or wanting to react to something?
Just a little mindfulness of the moment says, if I react, it's not going to be worth it. So it's not going to solve anything, and it's not going to make things better. So kind of just back up and, like I mentioned, almost like the ice cube, just leave it there and it's going to melt. So.
Yeah. However, now let's turn it around. However, if you leave it there and it melts, but there's still something inside of you that's unsettled, right? Or that you're repressing, or that you're maybe there's a bit of anger or resentment or whatever that might be, then it might arise.
That's for me to analyze a little bit later when my mind is clear and say, well, why was I triggered? Why did that happen? Why did that comment affect me that way? And kind of dissect it, and then because if I don't do that, then it's going to come up in another situation.
Exactly, right? So again, that's a very good coping strategy. It's, I'm going to try not to react instantly, and maybe walk away, and then just even asking those questions without even wanting to have an answer. Is like, what is this triggering? Just what you just said. What is this triggering inside of me? Like, why is this making me so anxious? Or what's that about? And what's the story I'm carrying? Remember our stories about cow paths and about the cows are in a certain field and it's got some electric wiring, but then they take that away, but the cows still don't go to the edge because they've been pre-programmed, and this is not good, right? So it's our patterns that we're so used to that we think this isn't going to work. If I dare say what I'm thinking, what I'm feeling, share my sadness, share my vulnerability, like the other person's not going to like me, or whatever you might be thinking. But it's like it's in those moments that it's so precious to be able to express what we need, right? But also respecting what the other individual needs or would like, right? It's both, right? It's a delicate balance. Any other coping strategies that you use in order to deal with your stress? I know there's some of the maladaptive ones that we use sometimes, but again, we talked about those last week, but it's again bringing that awareness to those maladaptive. Doesn't mean that we won't fall back into some of those patterns, but it's recognizing them and saying, here I go again, or here, I'm feeling an urge to eat more, but really, like, it has nothing to do with food. It's just something that's going on for me right now, right? And maybe walking away from that, or just.
Sometimes I find that if you have somebody you can talk to that that's non-judgmental and doesn't try to fix things, you're just talking about it makes it
Absolutely,
almost
great.
go away.
Yeah, it's a great coping strategy. That's a very, very good strategy. Yes, and that's what, you know, we were saying earlier about being vulnerable, daring to share, to express what's going on for you, and knowing that the person you're sharing with, one, you can trust, and two, they'll listen without wanting to give that advice. It's more like, I'm empathizing with your situation. I'm you know, walking in your shoes, yet I haven't experienced what you're going through.
Even if it doesn't make sense to that person, it's just,
Yeah, just that.
just being,
Yeah, just paying attention,
Yeah,
being
yeah.
listened, feeling that you're being listened to is huge, right? Right. When we're dealing with stress and difficult situations in our own life. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Someone else about their situation or the stress in their life and what they, you know, those habitual patterns are really difficult to break that cycle of what we're used to doing, what we've been conditioned, perceptions. We talked, you know, a few weeks ago about preconceived ideas about other people, and how, what can we bring to those situations, to those events in our lives, those stressful events in our lives. How can we make them maybe a little bit more adaptive, a little easier to cope with on a daily basis? One of them, I'll just share a little bit about some of the research on stress reactivity and stress response. We've talked a lot about awareness. So when we're unaware, disconnected, then everything is out of balance, out of sync, right? As much physically as mentally and emotionally, right? And we experience tiredness and we're more irritable, etc., right? Versus if we bring awareness, if we bring that wedge of awareness to those stressful moments, we feel more connected, we feel more alive, we feel more, and then we have a stronger balance in our lives. And then, you know, there's another one, similar words, but just a little bit different. When we don't bring attention to what we're experiencing, we become disconnected, and then, you know, we feel stressed, and it shows up, or then we become sick, right? Versus if we pay attention and are more connected, then we can regulate what's going on for us and feel more balanced in our day, in our lives, right? So that's just words to remember, even you know, just jotting down these words of, in this stressful situation, I'm going to bring more awareness to it and see. Sometimes there are things that are out of our control that we have no influence over, or less influence over, if we can say that, right? And other times it is up to us to take that step that might be very uncomfortable, but that will bring us, you know, balance and connection and ease in our lives, in our days. So that's a good way of talking about seeing if we can respond more to stress versus react to it. Opening our awareness to what is imbalance and coming to recognize. And oftentimes, this is a key word too. It's unconscious. We don't even know we're doing what we're doing, right? It's just a habit. It's just, I've always done it that way, or I've always, you know. And so unconscious habitual tendencies, we begin to make new choices that promote health and well-being. And that's, you know, the intention of this program of being more mindful, paying attention, being with what arises, what unfolds for us throughout our day. So any comments or other questions on this, or?
That's a really good comment, that one.
Well, it is all about choices sometimes we feel victims, or we feel like we have no control over this, and even if it's just small things that we can have, that we can, change or influence, it's better than nothing, right? And it can help.
Well, sometimes, there's, when you're in a stressful situation, it's because the expectation of yourself is way, maybe a little bit too much.
Absolutely. Or you walked in somewhere, or you were looking forward to something, and you had expectations that the outcome was gonna be this, and boom, you get there and the outcome is this, and then it's a disconnect. It's a disconnect, right? And then you feel like, oh, you feel upset, you feel stressed, you feel like,
Where do I start?
yeah, how could this have happened,
Yeah.
right? This is what I expected, and now this is what's going on. So, but those are the moments. Those are the, how would I say? Those are the moments that make us stronger,
Yeah.
and make us better as human beings, right? When we can, stand up with courage, express our vulnerability, express our sadness, our grief, or whatever it is that is going on for us, and then just we can better cope with our lives. Yeah. So true. Unmet expectations, or sometimes it's tight deadlines. It's if you think at work, you're stressed because there's so much going on, and now tomorrow we're going into the Christmas time of the year, and winter, and there's bringing awareness to those changing seasons, and what is happening for us. If we have a lot of stressful events in like the way you were saying, over a period of time, then after a while it's like, what more can happen? Like, enough, sort of, and so it's just knowing that there are ways that we can better cope, better adapt to those difficult or challenging times. And we need that reservoir, that kind of back pocket. I'm gonna try breathing. I'm gonna try this. I'm gonna try that. Right? I'm just gonna be more present, or
I think, like you said before too, it's like each new stressor that happens, seeing it almost with a beginner's mind, it's not necessarily thinking about it as all these bad things have happened, but instead, you're just sort of reacting and being sort of present to what's going on in the present moment.
Right. So it's hard to do. Yeah, you've nailed it. Right? That's so true. It's hard to do because it's like enough already, or you just want to, and the importance of bringing that beginner's mind, that acceptance. Because remember, even from class 1, we've been talking about there's nothing we can do about the past, right? It's over. We can maybe cherish the precious moments or memories, and then there's nothing we can do about the future. But our mind is often stuck in both of those places, right? And so the only thing that we can control and focus on is today, our present moment experience, and what's going on for us in this moment, but in the present. Because you remember that, what is it, Mark Twain, who said, I've worried about a lot of
awareness that sometimes the triggers of things that happen today are attached to something else that really has nothing to do with today. And being vulnerable and emotional is no longer a negative thing.
Mm-hmm.
For me, it's the healing.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's not a sign of weakness anymore.
Yeah, yeah.
Being aware of that is,
Mm-hmm. And I think, what you also just said about awareness, it's triggered, oftentimes that event or that situation is triggered from maybe, possibly past negative experiences or something that's happened before, and now it's like, oh, same old, this is happening again, and maybe it isn't the same, but we kind of put it all in the same container, same box, right? And just seeing if we can see it from a different perspective. Remember our 9 dots, right? From the second class, it's like, can we think outside of those 9 dots? Sometimes can we see things from a different perspective, right? Okay, so I'd like to now share a poem with you to talk about those that speaks to those habitual patterns and what sometimes causes some stress in our lives. So if you can just lower or close your eyes and hear what's being shared. The poem is called Autobiography in 5 Chapters. Chapter 1. I walk down the street, there's a deep hole in the sidewalk. I fall in, I'm lost. I'm hopeless. That isn't my fault. It takes forever to find a way out. Chapter 2. I walk down the same street, there's a deep hole in the sidewalk. I pretend I don't see it. I fall again. I can't believe I'm in the same place. But it isn't my fault. It still takes a long time to get out. I walk down the same street. There's a deep hole in the sidewalk. I see it's there. I still fall in. It's a habit. My eyes are open. I know where I am. It's my fault. I get out immediately. Chapter 4. I walk down the same street. There's a deep hole in the sidewalk. I walk around it. Chapter 5. I walk down another street. Autobiography in 5 chapters. Our habitual patterns are sometimes very difficult to break.
That's written a little differently, but I go to another group and that was my reading at the other group, 5 chapters.
Okay.
And they said, Albert Einstein said, if you keep doing the same thing and expecting a different outcome, it's a definition of insanity.
So true. Right? Absolutely. No, thanks for sharing that. It's so true. And that's what habitual patterns are all about. Just seeing it in mindfulness, in awareness, we can bring a different perspective, a different way of doing, of being, and maybe stop a little bit of that automatic pilot, just going and going from one thing to another, and take a mindful pause and be present to our precious life, right? We only have one. Okay. So let's just talk a little bit about next week. We're moving on into week 6. The practice for next week is the sitting meditation and choices awareness, what we've done over today. There's a recording of that available for you. And you can alternate it with mindful yoga, whether it's the sitting
communications calendar. So in week 4, we talked about stress reactivity. Week 5, more around, how can we be more responsive to stress, the stress in our lives. And then we'll tie this with a lot of our communication causes stress, right? You gave an example earlier, Bonnie. So how can we be mindful in those times of difficult communications in our lives? And so identifying a moment or a difficult communication and just completing the calendar, and that's what we'll be looking at next week. And that brings us to the end of our session this evening. So why don't we find our comfortable seat and do a mindful check-in at the end of our class 5, where we discussed and shared and did some practices together. And seeing if we can bring awareness to those moments of reactivity again this week in our day, in our week, and explore options for responding with greater mindfulness, awareness, spaciousness, and creativity. Remembering that your breath is always your best friend, your anchor. And seeing if you can